The North Carolina Tar Heels lose their last 4 games. A team that started off at the beginning of the season number 1 is now only receiving 1 vote in the top 25 rankings, not even close to reaching the top 25 as we speak right now. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Slasher U. I'm your host, Christian Rao, here with my co-host, Steve Beck. And this segment, we're going to talk about the North Carolina Tar Heels, the extreme downfall in the last half of November moving into December, and if it's time to panic or is it too early to even make that decision. We're going to give you our thoughts here today. Steve, my question immediately goes right to that. Is it time to panic for Tar Heel Nation?
I do not believe it's time to panic. And I want to flash back to last February. And I think that's going to give us a direction for this little clip in talking about this. In mid-February, North Carolina got blown out at home. I mean, they made it close in the second half to Pitt. And Pitt, while they're having a much better season this year, Pitt was pitiful last year. And all the bracketologists and all the alarmists were like, North Carolina's not even going to make the tournament. We can't even say they're on the bubble. This is just one of those years. And, is it really working with Hubert Davis and all the usual stuff? And then we saw what happened, come after that game. And then through March, they got to the national championship game. So everybody forgot the struggles the team and the inconsistencies the team had leading up to that magical run in the tournament. So really, it's our fault, not yours and mine, a bigger collective our fault for building this North Carolina team up so much. And again, and people that know way more about college basketball than you and I mean, we're pretty knowledgeable, but I mean, true experts, people that put out publications that people pay good money for, all had North Carolina at number 1, but they forgot that this was really the same roster that had a lot of early inconsistencies and struggles. So I think that's really the narrative. I mean, did we just build them up too much?
I don't know. I don't know if that's the case. I think there is some room for interpretation there. I think a lot of people were considered or concerned, I should say, about them being preseason number 1. But there was also some people, and both you and I were one of them, that said we believe this team is going to be an absolute powerhouse. I mean, North Carolina is in both of our Final Fours. So that is something that we have to make sure that we put on the air here. We were one of those people who believed that North Carolina was going to run the table into ACC play. Now we are seeing them start ACC play, and they just got a loss with Virginia Tech. Now, Virginia Tech is a really good team. I think we undersold Virginia Tech a lot. What they did in the ACC tournament, I think, and then what we see now with them going on, I still can't believe that they're not ranked. I just find that so wild to me.
I know.
That's just a weird thing to me. But they lose that game to Virginia Tech to start off this month, and then their last 3 of November, they lose to Iowa State. It was a close match. They lost by 5 in the Phil Knight Legacy. They didn't look great in the Phil Knight Invitational, I should say. They didn't look great in that. Even the win against Portland wasn't good. And then they lose to Alabama. That was a wild game. We spoke about it on the show in 4 overtimes. I mean, you could go either way with that. That's just one of those games that you got to seal the deal. If you can't do it, Alabama's a good team. And then they just flat out got beat by Indiana. I mean, that is true. Out of all of those games, the last 2 have been the most concerning. The first 2 losses, okay, fine. They could have been either way, but the game against Indiana and honestly, the game against Virginia Tech just the other day on Sunday, where they got beat, plain and simple, they got beat. So that is the only portion of the concerning side that I'm at, but I'm with you overall. I don't think that we should be too concerned about this. I think it's December, folks. We're talking about a team who is going to do just fine in ACC play. Maybe they won't win the ACC. Maybe that won't be a case, but that wasn't the case last year either, right? Virginia Tech won the ACC tournament, and still North Carolina found a way to get to the big dance and get to the national championship game. I don't see this team being a team like we saw in 2010, 2011, where they had this kind of record this early in the season. I think that we can find this team making the tournament, having no problems. They're going to find a way to rebound. They play Georgia Tech coming up on Saturday, and then next Tuesday they played the Citadel, and then they have a chance to really get back into it playing ranked Ohio State, just outside ranking Michigan, and then they play Pitt, just like you spoke about earlier. A nice chance to have some revenge from last season. That's how they end their year. There's some really good chances for them to be able to come back. I like North Carolina still. Now, obviously, I don't like them as much as I liked them at the beginning of the season. Don't get me wrong. There's never been a moment so far this year that they have absolutely wowed me. But I like what Davis is doing with this squad. I do think that he's having a little bit of sophomore slumpness, if you will. I guess I don't know if you can do that with coaches, but it kind of is showing right here a little bit. He has a good roster when healthy. I think if you can get all of them healthy, all of them firing in all cylinders, this is a team that is going to be absolutely deadly come ACC play in March. So right now, honestly, Stephen, I know I'm rambling a little bit, but right now, if you have some things that you got to figure out, iron them out now. Because when you get the ACC play, when you get to the tournament of the ACC tournament, and when you get to March Madness, that's when you need to be 100%. And I think they'll find a way to get there.
I'm with you. Basically, it's, and you said you were rambling, but when you're looking at a team like North Carolina, where it's really kind of a puzzle, it's hard to collect all of your thoughts because as soon as you touch on one point, two other points come up. And so it's really easy when you're looking at a team like this. And I think you can point to a lot of things. I think Gonzaga is a team you can point to. It's like, okay, which team is it? But staying focused on North Carolina, if you look at just some general stats for them, their scoring margin, they're scoring 3.5 points more than their opponents on the whole, 79.4 to 75.9. That tells you that they're a good basketball team. They're a winning basketball team. Are they a dominant basketball team? You got to say no. They're shooting 45% from the floor. That's not an ACC championship team. Decent number, but they're only shooting 29% from three, and they're only hitting on 75% of their foul shots. And North Carolina's roster is the kind of team opponents are going to force them to go to the line. And if they continue to struggle early, they're going to keep sending them to the line to limit the damage in the paint and to make them make their free throws and have them beat you that way. Rebound margin is 1.6. They have, 38.6 to 37 rebounds per game. Again, you want to see that number closer to 5 or 6. For a Sweet 16 team.
For a top-level team like the Tar Heels, yeah.
Right, but, the things that kind of concern me is that they're giving up more points off of turnovers, 14.6, than they are scoring off of turnovers, 12.6. And their opponents are doing a way better job distributing the basketball. Assists are not the be-all, tell-all of a team that distributes and moves the ball well, but it's an indication that there might be an issue there, and their opponents are beating them by at least 2 assists a game. So when you look at those numbers and you see what North Carolina has done so far, they kind of match up. Is that what we want North Carolina to be doing? No, it's what they're capable of doing to do right now. If you touched on, they've been a little banged up. Again, early last year too, you remember, their backcourt is primarily sophomores and juniors now, where last year they were freshmen and sophomores. Okay, yes, and you have Bacon coming back, in the middle, but all of these complementary players, they were really, really inconsistent throughout the year, and they just all clicked at the same time after getting their tails beat by Pitt and really being embarrassed on national TV. They were embarrassed because Pitt was not a good team last year. So I think at some point the light bulb's going to go on. There's going to be like a timeout, and Hubert Davis is going to be talking to them, and something's going to click with those players all at one time. It's like, oh yeah. It's like in the old Bonanza episodes. They used to hit Haas with a chair, and he didn't react right away, but then eventually it was like, hey, and then he gets mad and then he starts kicking tail all over the bar. So I think there's going to be a moment like that with North Carolina. I can't tell you when it is going to happen. If I knew that, I would be selling my house and putting all the money on that game when it actually happens.
Fair.
But it is going to happen. North Carolina is going to be a tournament team. North Carolina is going to probably go at least to the 16. I still hold out hope that they're a Final Four team, like you and I, like you shared earlier, that we both picked them for the Final Four. But I'm with you. I'm not as comfortable saying that it's going to happen, but I am comfortable saying it can still happen.
Yeah, they can right the ship. And, as I spoke about the last two losses, them being the more concerning losses in that, one thing that you can take with a positive grain of salt, if you will, is what Hubert Davis said at the end of the Virginia Tech North Carolina game on Sunday. He said, "I told the guys I'm disappointed, but I'm not discouraged. Disappointed with the outcome, but really happy with the fight the last 15 minutes of the second half." If that is anything, if you want to take that anything away, they're aggressive towards the end of that last game they played. Let's see if they can pick up on that and move with that momentum. You have to find the little victories when you're slumping. And this is exactly what they're in right now. This is a 4-game slump. It's just being spotlighted because this is once the number one team in the nation. Now they're, not even hardly getting votes by the Associated Press. So this is definitely going to be spotlighted. And when they go and take on Georgia Tech on Saturday, they're going to be paid attention to. This game is on ESPN. Georgia Tech versus North Carolina isn't normally a game that they're going to probably put on ESPN, but because they are the North Carolina Tar Heels, they're going to be a spotlight. It's going to be paid attention. Citadel, they play them on Tuesday. That's on ESPN too. None of these games are ESPN Plus. This is the North Carolina Tar Heels. They're going to be spotlights. So I'm interested to see if they can find some momentum and bust back. I think they can. They got to be aggressive, especially down low. They need to be healthy. I think that'll come with time, obviously. And I'm looking forward to seeing what becomes of this. But overall, don't think they need to panic just yet. Let's see what happens after Ohio State and Michigan in the CBS Sports Classic and the Jumpman Invitational. And then if we have some concerns then we can come back to this conversation. But I think until then, until the next few weeks, I think we can lay the reins back a little bit. Don't stress too much. Be cautious, but don't be concerned. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. What do you think about the UNC Tar Heels? Are you concerned? Do you think this team is completely just out of bounds from where they were at the beginning of the season? Do you have any hope that they can still fight in the ACC and make it to the NCAA tournament? Let us know in the comment description below. And thanks for watching SlasherU.